Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Mr. Remi Roques. It's got to be louder, ladies and gentlemen. Energize yourself, energize the hall, and energize Mr. Roques. Welcome.
Thanks a lot for having me today. It's going to be hard to do a good presentation after the one of Matthew. He touched on some of the subject that I'm going to present today, but hopefully that's going to be useful for you. So thank you very much again to having me today. I love India. I love the food here, the culture. I love the hospitality of the people, so I'm very pleased to be here. Today I'm going to talk about digital revolution, how we can leverage this revolution, how we can use digital billboard over static billboard to create value for our industry. And I'm also going to give you some advice from experts like us who have helped clients transform from static to digital. So let's get into it. So my first slide is about the out-of-home industry and how the out-of-home industry is growing. Today, it's a $30 billion industry worldwide, and with a growth that has been year on year for the last 10 years in the range of 4%. So it's quite a good growth for our industry, and we all have enjoyed it. In APAC, so in India last year, 12% growth, China 9%, Singapore 4%, but in Singapore, out-of-home is already 30% of the marketing, the advertising spendings. 7% in Malaysia, there is 15% of market share, 12% in the Philippines and Australia, 10%. Overall in APAC, as you can see, our industry is $13 billion. So it's 40% of the out-of-home industry worldwide, and we are the #1 region now in the world in terms of out-of-home. So we should be very proud of that. But at the same time, what we see also is traditional media, like newspaper, magazines, free-to-air TV, that are in decline, and they are making space for online advertising. So why is our industry growing while traditional media is in decline? What is happening in out-of-home that makes our industry growing? So I know some of you know already the answer, but basically we have seen digital taking over static billboards in the last 10 years, I would say, since 2010. Media owners have started to invest heavily in digital out-of-home. Digital out-of-home is here and everywhere. And I joined a little bit the presentation from Matthew before, where he's saying that technology and digital is growing, is there, and it's a boom happening. In the last 2 years, we've seen the number of digital units going from 70,000 units worldwide to 300,000 units worldwide. 30% growth in digital out-of-home. So it's a revolution. It's a change. It's a disruption in our business. So that reminds me of what happened when digital cameras in the 90s started to threaten the photo printing shops that we had in our cities. 10 years later, photo printing shops there were only a few remaining. Basically, they disappeared. Their revenue had dropped over 10 years. It was basically a loss for this business. So in their case, the digital revolution was synonym of extension. So they didn't, basically, the photo printing shop didn't really survive this digital revolution. If you were a media owner of a photo printing shop in the 90s, you had two options. Either you will continue selling photo printing, and in this case, 10 years later, you would have seen your business disappear, or you would have maybe changed your business and start selling digital cameras, or maybe selling mobile phones. You will have maybe embraced the change. So that's a little bit what's happening in out-of-home. We have the choice of either I'm going to switch, and embracing the change or just denying it. To embrace the change, we have to stay agile. We have to ride the big wave of digital in the industry. So we have to think positively about the change. And that's why here I say that the change brings opportunity, and opportunity brings success. So if really we embrace the digital revolution, we can really make the most of it and change our business for the better. So I'm going to now come back to why is digital so successful? Why a digital screen is selling so much compared to a static screen? So what's the difference in value? And maybe here I'm going to pause and I'm going to ask you the question in the home, why do you think that a digital screen, you can sell it at a much higher price than a static screen? So I would like to have you participate in this discussion, and I would like to give your input, because I listed a few points why a digital screen should be sold at a higher price, but maybe you've got other ideas, so I would like to get some of your inputs here. So maybe if we've got a microphone, you can tell me what you think about that. Does anybody have any idea why a static screen is sold at a lower price than a digital one? Why digital screen can be sold at a higher price? Nobody? Yes? Sorry? Yes, technology.
But selling is difficult of a digital screen.
Yes?
People are adopting basic traditional media rather than the digital media, and it is only happening in airports and other facilities. That is the only thing. So in terms of expensive screens, yeah, it is just because of technology cost is very high. But in terms of sales, I don't think like it's selling as a hotcake in India.
Okay.
Maybe at your place, Australia, maybe other place, but not in India.
Well, yes, that's right that digital screens are very expensive, and you need to basically get a return on investment. How do you make a return on investment? What do you sell with a digital screen that you cannot sell with a static one? Yes?
It may also be because in one particular space you can showcase multiple brands.
That's right. So that's a very good point. That's what happened in modern countries at the beginning. They had a static screen. They will get rid of the static screen, replace it by a digital one. And they will sell the static screen for, I don't know, $1,000 a month. And what they will say to the advertisers on this new digital screen, they will say, well, the cost of a campaign on this screen is $1,000 a month as well. But in this case, there will be one in a loop of 6, for instance. So they will basically sell the screen for 6 times the price. But agencies and advertisers, you know, it was the beginning of digital. Agencies and advertisers caught this, and then basically in the end, you know, the prices started to reduce. But that's a very good point. Yes?
I think digital screens have movement, they have illumination, they have animation, they can play full video, and they're about 7 times more effective than any static display. Much more advantage, the movement catches the eye, which is a significant of interest. And perhaps the most important fact is the marketer can give direct attribution to the digital screen because of the inputs that come with the digital screen. It's very clear to see the message being displayed, check it while it is being displayed, and perhaps pinpoint which screen has actually delivered the mileage or the footfall or made the last point of contact before the sale takes place. On a digital screen, you don't sell space, you don't sell time. You can and should ultimately, when the numbers are out, be selling audiences.
That's right. So that's a combination of the points that I have written also in my presentation. Animation, videos, that's a very good point. So imagine the value proposition to an advertiser, an agency, when you say now you don't, in addition to selling you this space, I'm going to sell you a video rather than a static image. So very good point here. The audience, that relates to programmatic, that comes back to the presentation of Matthew before. It's right. We are going to target audiences with digital screens. We can sell at a particular time of the day of the week, and locations. So it's related to targeting the right audience as well. Any other ideas? Going to maybe come back to my presentation. This is the campaign that happened in Singapore. JCDecaux and Samsung partner on a campaign in which they engage the audience. It was an impactful campaign in which the people in the streets of Singapore could use the bus stop of JCDecaux to charge their mobile. It was a campaign that was featuring the new Samsung S10, and Samsung wanted to put forward the fact that with the new Samsung S10, you could charge your phone quickly and at any time wirelessly. So it was engaging. It was a great brand experience. It's not really the digital screen campaign that you will imagine, but it's still related to digital. That's why I wanted to put it here. Yeah. Now, in addition to the points that were mentioned before, with digital screen, you can sell dynamic content. So you can overlay weather, traffic information, maybe the real-time score of a game, of a sport game happening in real time. All of this with dynamic content. You can also use dynamic trigger. You can display content based on weather, traffic information, maybe the audience in front of the screen. You've seen in the alley before, behind these walls here, that you've got many software providers that provide these cameras above the screen, and they can see the audience that is in front of the screen, and with this you can tailor the message that you want to show on the screen. So that's a dynamic trigger. Time of the day and location, that's utilized a lot at the moment. You want to be able to display at different times of the day, different creative, so that your campaign is meaningful for the audience that is supposed to be in front of the screen at this particular time of the day. In Australia, for instance, a supermarket brand is working with one of our clients and has full access on a self-serving portal to be able to display at different time of the day different products and tailor the message to the type of audience that's coming to the supermarket stores. With digital screens, you can have accurate proof-of-play reporting, which means that proof-of-play reporting by the minute on when your ad has played in the campaign. So it's very accurate, and we've got also some verification services like VeriDo that you may have heard of, that basically capture this information and aggregate it and verify it on top of that. So this is something that you can also do with digital. And the last point is you can also do a full campaign takeover, which means that you will take over an entire location at a particular time to really have an impactful experience for the audience. So for all of these reasons, digital can be sold at a much higher price, can bring much more value than a static screen. Now, the other point that was also addressed just before is programmatic, and it was also addressed by Matthew. Programmatic is arriving, it's growing. As Matthew said, before it was just a few pilot campaigns that happened in North America, in Europe, in Australia. Now it's really, the campaigns are really taking off, and we see media owners starting making money from programmatic selling and programmatic delivery. So it's really a game changer. And it allows you to target your audience at particular time of the day. All of this done by the software. Basically, you don't have to make the math. You don't have to schedule your content manually. All of this is done programmatically. It allows you also to sell at the same time as online campaign on the same platform, on the same DSP platform, demand-side platform. Now, how do you get a digital transformation right? So if you believe that in the value of digital and you want to transform your static inventory into digital, I've got a few advice that I would like to give you, because I've done it with several of our media owners, And I think that's very important that you take away this advice and think about them. And when you start transforming your inventory into digital, or maybe you are in the middle of the transformation, but you've got some challenges, think about that, and maybe that can help you making it better. The first one is plan in advance. Make sure that you have a plan that is achievable and that is realistic. So you don't want to rush into just converting your static inventory. You want to have a set plan, and you plan it in advance. You want to have a team of dedicated people that are going to run through this digital transformation. So you need to have project managers, business analysts, financial advisors, maybe software engineers, network experts, all of this in your project team to be able to have a successful transformation. Another point is you need to manage the change within your organization. So your static team, your static operational team needs to understand the new digital media that is arriving, and you need to train them, and they need to embrace the change from static to digital. You need to also put a budget together to make sure that your project is well funded. So that's my first point. Second point, be agile. Start small, start with a subset of your inventory, and then grow from there. With a small subset, you may have some failures. Doesn't matter. It's only a small portion of your inventory. You need to sort out the sales model with this small portion, but once you have sorted the basics, then you can expand to the rest of your inventory. So be agile in your approach, okay? Change your sales model. So think that we saw before that digital doesn't sell in the same way as static. There are many scenarios that you can do with digital that you cannot do with static. So think about selling it differently, because this is how you are going to be able to sell your digital inventory at a much higher price than static. Guarantee return on investment. Make sure that you have a financial plan that is sound and that is going to work for your transformation to digital. So make sure that you are following your KPIs to make sure that you achieve the financial benefits that you are expecting to achieve, okay? Upskill your technical team. Once your project is done, once you've got digital inventory, you need to have network engineers to manage your digital inventory. You need to have people who can do content specific to your client. You need to have also a digital planning team. So you need to have all these people in your organization. You can either upskill your team, your existing team, or maybe hire some new people. And finally, open the road to programmatic. We already discussed it, but programmatic is coming. You need to be able to embrace it, and you need to be able to start thinking about selling your inventory targeted at audience that is going to see the ads on your digital screen at particular time. That the screens are going to be managed programmatically by your software, and if you got the right stack, this is going to be automatically done for you. So to finish, I would like to say that the digital out-of-home boom is here. It's for us to decide if we want to embrace the change, embrace the revolution, or just denying it and sink. Now, there are many software vendors who can help you with that, software experts, or even hardware experts. Some of them are behind these walls, so don't hesitate to go and see them and talk to them and see how they can help you manage the change. Thank you very much. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're getting good at it, and it's getting louder each time. 3, 2, 1. I think we're starting to enjoy saying it as well. So that's wonderful. What we really need to do right now is get into our questions. So to join Mr. Rock, we're going to invite Mr. Gautam Bhirani, who is the Managing Director of Ayuda Media Ventures. He's got the iPad, he's got the questions, and I'm going to hand over my mic to you.
Good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. So let's get this started. The first question is from Mr. Ritesh Vasudeva from Hindustan Publicity. Transformation from digital cannot happen unless local government regulations in India are somewhat tweaked. A general myth here is that digital sites are moving or flashing, or it's probably a disturbance in the traffic. Can you share some insights on your experience, what made governments across the globe come on board and accept this digital revolution? And on the contrary, is visually appealing and also a revenue enhancer for a government and enhance the urban infrastructure.
Okay, that's a long question.
Yes, it is.
So, yes, regulations are important for the transformation to digital in your country, in the industry. I think it's important to have a strong association who's going to protect your interests. We've seen this, for instance, in Australia or in the US or in Europe, where associations are lobbying and are working with the government to make sure that digital is not, that your country is not falling behind and that digital is accepted and protected. So it's very important that you work with the association and help them, and they will be the conduit to the government and regulation.
Second question is from Mr. Rohit Yagnik, Prime Outdoor. Increased use of digital OOH also needs specific skill set to plan and integrate into advertisers' communication objectives. What would be your advice to media planners here who are still skewed towards static media?
So you need to, in terms of the skill set and the technical skill set. So that's a very good question because we see some media owners who are just buying digital screens and they don't think about changing the team in their organization. So the first kind of skill set that you will need are digital network engineers. You need to have people who are able to monitor the network of players that you are going to install. And they need to have the right tools as well to monitor them. So usually network engineers coming from the IT industry are usually best people to do that. You need to have digital media planners, so people who are tech savvy and who are able to work with computers and able to plan digital campaigns on a computer. So this requires also a separate skill set. And also the third type of people that you will need are people who can create content. Because sometimes the content, the agencies cannot create the content, the dynamic content that you would like to display on your screens or that the advertisers ask for. Therefore, you need to be able to provide this service of creating this dynamic content for them. Otherwise, your campaign will be too complicated to run and you will end up displaying static images on digital screens, which is not what you want because, as we saw before, the value of your assets will decrease.
My final question is, how BroadSign can help to create a digital ecosystem in India?
Okay, so
this question is by Mr. Sai Ranjan Mishra from Urban IQ.
Okay, thank you. So BroadSign, so I put some flyers on the table. So BroadSign and Ayuda were the two major software providers for the out-of-home industry. And in May, on the 1st of May, the two companies merged. Now we are the #1 software provider for the out-of-home industry. We would like to work in India. We would like to help all media owners in India, and we're ready to share our technology. Our vision is to be able to be the #1 service provider and to serve the industry globally. So we are here to help you move to digital and increasing your revenue. And our target also is that in the future, we move from being a 6% industry in the overall advertising spendings to a 10, 12, maybe 20% in the advertising spending. Out-of-home should have a higher market share, we believe, in the advertising spending globally.
So I think we've wrapped up all three questions. It's time to pick the winner.
I think the second question was very good about asking about the kind of skills that you need to have in your team.
Yes, so it is Mr. Rohit Yagnik from Prime Outdoors.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Mr. Rohit Yagnik. He makes his way to stage to accept this check, 10,000 rupees, ask the questions. And we want to say thank you to Alak Advertising and Publicity. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Rohit from Prime Outdoor. How awesome is that? 10,000 rupees. And ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Mr. Remi Roques. Thank you very much.